Okay, so I promised you 4 points of view. We had the manufacturer, we had the infrastructure provider, and now we have the utility. Means that last but not least, we have the supplier. So please welcome Bernhard Henkel, Vice President of Commercial Vehicle Electrification at Robert Bosch, to our digital stage. Bernhard will give us a global perspective on truck electrification, exploring technical trends and market developments beyond Europe. And as a leading supplier, he will compare international approaches, highlighting how different regions are advancing electrification and what that means for the future of heavy-duty transport worldwide. Hello, Bernhard.
So, hello, Carla. Good morning. And also a warm welcome to all participants online.
Thank you. Bernhard, you are traveling the world for your work, so you must have seen some really interesting cities. If you've had to pick one place that left a lasting impression, which one would it be and why?
Yeah, this is a good question. Yeah. So honestly, I preferred very much Chongqing. Yeah. This is the city where we have our joint venture for the rigid e-axles. And it is amazing. Yeah. It is more than 30 million inhabitants. Yeah. As big as Austria. And, we are coming from near Stuttgart, and we are building Stuttgart 21 train station. And they built a train station which is 4 times bigger than Stuttgart 21. So very impressive.
Okay, Bernhard, I have to get you back to Germany right now, but I know I said you're going to be looking beyond the European borders. In your presentation, Global Trends and Solutions for Electrified Commercial Vehicle Powertrains. Bernhard, the digital stage is all yours.
So thank you very much. Yeah. Now let's, before I start the presentation, a few sentences about myself. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I started my business experience with Volkswagen in 1996. And I changed to Bosch in 2001. After 20 years in diesel business, I had my personal transformation in 2018, and I moved to electrification. So what can I do? What can I add to this live session today? As you know, Bosch is a really big and also international supplier. And we are active on passenger car side and on commercial vehicle side. And based on our international experience, I want to present you today our point of view of the global trends and solutions for electrified commercial vehicle powertrains. So, first of all, what is driving our electrification business? Besides the worldwide critical political situation, the global warming and its impact on our society is the biggest challenge of our century. I think the majority of you will agree with me when I'm saying it is our duty to mitigate this impact. So what does this mean for us in the European automotive industry? That means we have to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions by round about 760 million tons a year. And in the heavy commercial vehicle sector, by 200 million tons. That means we have to decarbonize the transportation sector, and we have to change from a fossil to a regenerative energy, and this within 15 years. This is the biggest challenge for the transportation industry ever. So when I moved from diesel to electrification in 2018, it was not clear if we can technically and also commercially electrify a 40-ton truck. In the meantime, situation changed completely. So we will see several zero-emission technologies. Especially, we as Bosch are committed to openness to technology. That means we are active on H2 engines, on fuel cells, on alternative fuels, and also on battery electric vehicles. And these will be mainstream for many of the use cases in the future. In these days, the ICCT published the latest forecast on the 25 CO2 targets achievements here in Europe. And it seems that nearly all OEMs will manage the 15% CO2 reductions, which is, by the end of the day, good news. But now, the low-hanging fruits, they are gone. And the biggest challenge is coming now with the 2030 targets. That means the OEMs have to reduce the CO2 impact compared to 2019 by minus 43%. And the most feasible way to achieve this is to increase the battery electric vehicle share. So in the first half of 2025, and we have seen that also some minutes ago, the BEV share here in Europe was 3.5%. To reach these ambitious CO2 targets in 2030, we have to increase this electric share up to 30 or 35% until 2030. This is a huge challenge, and how can we realize this? So this is the magic formula to ramp up our electrification market. It is often shown by the OEMs and also by the VDA. And yes, it's simple, but it's right. So first of all, we need the products. That means the trucks. We need also the infrastructure, and we heard a lot about that today. And we need also a benefit for the total costs of ownership. And if these factors are supported well, we will see a significant growth. But if one of these factors is zero or underperforming, then the volume will not come. So now let's look into the year 25 here in Germany and in Europe, and what are these factors at the moment. To be honest, there is not a general answer. The business case depends heavily on your individual use case. So for example, if we look on the left-hand side to the urban and regional delivery, means in the meantime, the trucks are available. And you, as a logistic provider, can get a connection to the power net, and then you have you can get depot charging and you get reasonable energy costs, then you can also gain a TCO benefit. On the other side, if we look to the heavy long-haul business on the right-hand side, there the situation is much more challenging. The trucks are available. The infrastructure for public charging is not sufficient at the moment, and the energy costs are still too high. So it is very difficult at the moment to achieve a positive business case. But that does not mean it is impossible. So if you have fixed routes, or if you can implement a special charging structure, charging solution, as we have seen also in the last two presentations, a possible business case is also feasible here for heavy-duty long-haul. And this was also confirmed by several logistic providers also here in the Electrified platform in the last months. Now let's expand our horizon and let's look into the future. In the year 2030, we expect an electrification share here in Europe of about 25 to 35%. This is driving the CO2, or this is driven by the CO2 legislation, and it depends heavily on the ramp up of the charging infrastructure and especially also on the energy costs. If we are now looking to North America, the speed of transformation is reduced. The Trump administration forced a massive deregulation of the emission standards. And as a consequence, the OEMs stopped or even canceled their EV, electric vehicle truck programs. And also our team had to stop our development activities in North America. And I can tell you this is painful. And that results finally in a lag on the product side. And under these circumstances, there will be also no sufficient investments in the infrastructure. And by the end of the day, it is difficult to achieve a good TCO in North America. So we expect, if we are looking to 2030, a maximum electrification rate of round about 10 to 15% in North America in 2030. But now let's look on the other side to China, a completely different situation. The government and also big market players like CATL and Huawei, they are investing heavily in the infrastructure. The EV trucks, they are available, and with short development cycles and more competitive technologies which are pushed into the market, the costs go down. And then by the end of the day, you have a positive business case for nearly all the electrification use cases in China. And that means the electrification market in China is now growing very fast. So let's look a little bit deeper into China. We have seen a significant growth of electrification rate, especially in the last 2 years. In the heavy commercial vehicle sectors, there are several use cases with already 25% electrification share. And I will give you an example on the light commercial vehicle segment, a special segment for vans. We see already today an electrification rate of more than 90%. So 90. This is incredible. The main drivers are the significant drop of the battery prices, still low energy cost for both for depot charging and also for public charging, and also extension of use cases based on trucks with enlarged battery capacity and also higher efficiency. This environment enables a clear TCO benefit for most of the battery electric use cases versus combustion engines. So if we now review in our mind the last 2 slides, we can clearly say that not only on the passenger car side, but also on the commercial vehicle side, China is the lead market for electrification. And that means if we look into the future, 7 out of 10 trucks worldwide will be sold in China. And we as Bosch, we are targeting to maintain our successful position in this really very competitive Chinese market. And this enables us to optimize our overall cost structure. And if you want, so China is somehow the gym for our global business. So now let's switch from the market trends to the technology trends of electrified powertrain. This is a busy slide, but don't worry, I will guide you through from left to right. Let's start on the passenger car side. Here we have 3-in-1 e-axles, so with e-motor, with inverter, and with gearbox. In China, we extend that up to a 7-in-1 solution, adding additional components. And for comfort reason, independent suspension is standard on the passenger car side. So light commercial vehicle segment from 3.5 to 10 tons or 12, yeah. We use here mainly the same or similar components as on the passenger car side. And we adapt them to the heavier light commercial vehicle trucks. Starting from this vehicle weight, continuous power and continuous power and continuous torque is the dominant requirement. So for example, if you want to drive a fully loaded truck uphill, you need a lot of continuous power. Instead, on passenger car side, if you want to accelerate your car, you need short peak power. Therefore, we need to optimize the cooling and sometimes additionally the chip size to survive this high continuous demand over the longer commercial vehicle lifetime. So in LCV market, we use 400 volt and 800 volt technologies, and the rigid axles, they are the dominant axle topology due to robustness reasons. Finally, let's look on the medium heavy duty side. For this segment, we are using 800 volt technology with dedicated commercial vehicle components. These components are based on the same building blocks as passenger car to have the opportunity to produce them on the same production lines. And based on this, we enable economy of scales for the lower commercial vehicle volume. An example, our latest heavy-duty inverter, here you can see it in the middle with the orange cables. This inverter is in series production for several of our commercial vehicle customers, and it uses the same basis as our high-end sports car application. Let me also say something about truck topology. In the first electrification wave, we have seen mainly central drive solution. So to explain that in simple words, if you take out the combustion engine out of the engine bay and you substitute it with a very big and low rotating e-machine, then you have already an electrified truck with central drive. Nowadays, we see a global trend to rigid axles. That means the e-machine and the gearbox is directly mounted to the e-axle. And here we use fast rotating e-machines close to our passenger car technology. We launched our rigid e-axles last year in China, in Chongqing, with a really ambitious ramp up for several commercial vehicle customers. And these rigid e-axles shows an advantage on the one hand side on the efficiency, but also on the other side on the weight. And they provide then more space in the trucks for the batteries. So we believe that in the future, rigid e-axle will be the future topology, especially for on-highway trucks. So what are the KPIs for the commercial vehicle electric drive? So very important is the performance density. On the e-machine side, we increase the power and the torque density by innovative rotor and stator cooling. And that enables us to build the components significantly smaller. And by the end of the day, this means also we can produce them for lower costs. The efficiency is important to extend the driving range and to reduce the battery size. And here we are focusing for our power electronic components on our in-house silicon carbide chips. They are really efficient and they show an efficiency of more than 99%. Maybe the most important KPI is cost reduction. And to reduce the costs, for us, it is important to have on the one hand side product innovation, on the other side, a higher degree of integration, and then, of course, economy of scale. But nowadays, also sustainability is getting more and more important. So not only to produce our product CO2 neutral, but also to look deep into the supply chain and decarbonize it as well. Finally, system know-how is important to optimize, together with the OEM, the overall system. That means e-motor with inverter, e-drive with brakes, brakes with ADAS system, and everything integrated in an overall vehicle software environment. So we are convinced that this massive transformation in our transportation sector needs a strong supplier industry. On the one hand side, synergies for commercial vehicle market with the big and fast growing passenger car market, then strong global footprints to have more resilient setups in the different regions and to enable stable supply chains, and a strong partnership with the OEMs to drive the optimization in a more and more complex and integrated vehicle environment. So finally, let me summarize our view of the global trends. We are for sure in the biggest transformation of the transportation industry ever. Battery electric vehicle will be mainstream for many of the use cases, and China is the dominant lead market for electrified commercial vehicles. On technical side, rigid e-axles and high performance density play an important role. And all this needs strong supplier to manage the integrated environment as partner of the OEM. So thank you very much for your attention. And now I'm curious to hear your questions in the upcoming panel talk. Thank you.
Well, before we go to the panel talk, you have to answer my questions first, Bernhard. I'm sorry. It is really interesting. It's also really interesting to hear that you had to suspend work in the US, and showing China as kind of the leader is maybe doesn't come as a surprise as much. But my question would be, how does it affect the global market if you have to close shop in the US because you say, okay, it's just not worth it, but you're looking at electrifying heavy goods transport in China? How will that maybe affect technology that's available to us in Europe?
Yeah, as you know, we are a global company, and we have this technology available all over the world. Yeah, so and we do not stop our activities in North America. Yeah, we just do not continue these projects at the moment. Yeah, we still believe in the future. Electrification will also the future technology in North America, but this transformation speed, yeah, is reduced, yeah, and so we will wait, yeah, how the market will develop. And of course, we are active in North America. We have a lot of partners and customers there, and it's our target, yeah, to mitigate the speed in the different regions and to bring our know-how and expertise to our customers to enable them to have a positive business case by the end of the day.
And as a global supplier, how do you balance, say, standardization, which is obviously good for scaling, with the need to meet region-specific regulations and also customer demands?
Yes, you are right. Yeah, standardization is very important, and especially on the commercial vehicle side. Yeah, because the volumes are lower in passenger car. Yeah, compared to passenger car, and therefore, as I said, we are trying to build our platforms on the same technical building blocks as we do for the as we do for passenger cars, also on the commercial vehicle side. Yeah, this is one impact. Yeah, and then it is clear. Yeah, you have legal standards in each region, in each country, and we are taking care of that. Yeah. But to be honest, yeah, we can manage that. Yeah, our standard platforms, yeah, are defined, yeah, to be used in the different regions, yeah, and we have to do some adaptations, but this is manageable. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm a big fan of the crystal ball. So looking ahead, which trends or breakthroughs do you expect will have the biggest impact on the adoption of electric trucks worldwide, say, over the next 5 to 10 years?
So for me, and we had deep looks on total costs of ownership, yeah, and if we analyze these costs, yeah, a strategic importance are the energy costs, yeah. So if you can realize depot charging, yeah, with what we have seen with photovoltaic, with windmills, yeah, with storage where you can store the low energy costs or the low energy power over the night and then use it to charge your trucks, yeah, then you have the best opportunity to be competitive, yeah. And but on the other side, yeah, if you cannot manage that and you need public charging, yeah, and you know, if you have a passenger car, you have to pay 70 cent, 80 cent, 90 cent for kilowatt hour. This will not work in the commercial vehicle sector. Yeah. So I think a key driver for the future and for the success of the electrification commercial vehicle business, yeah, is the energy cost by the end of the day. That does not mean that we can stay behind, and we also have to work and bring our contribution, yeah, to reduce the cost to be more effective. But energy cost is a really high impact.
Okay, and you mentioned that from your point of view or from your perspective, it's really important working hand in hand with the OEMs and with the truck manufacturers to really get things on the road, literally. But what kind of other partnerships really play a role for you in accelerating global truck electrification? And maybe also, how does Bosch approach these partnerships?
Yeah, this is also important topic, yeah, especially if we are looking to China, yeah, when we are going, you know, Bosch is coming from e-motor business, component business, e-motors, inverters, and now we extend our approach not only to the e-drive but also to the axles, yeah, and the overall powertrain. And here we are looking also for synergies and partnerships with OEMs, yeah, to produce these products together, yeah, and make them together more competitive, yeah. So these are also partnerships that we have not only for the design of the vehicle but also to make the manufacturing more competitive, yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to keep the rest of my questions for the discussion round, which we are just about ready to start. I want to remind everybody watching that it is now maybe time, or the last time you can really ask the question in the chat, and I will get it here in the studio, and I will be able to ask it for you or in your name in the upcoming discussion round. But before I call all the other guys back here onto my digital stage, we have a quick word from our sponsors.